Hello all folks, how y'all doing? This is Con Over coming to you with another Company of Heroes 2 1v1. This up here in the north, playing as the OKW in the blue trunks, is the forces of Khiidrom. He of course is bringing along Scavenge, Luftwaffe ground forces, and Feuerstorm Doctrine. It would be really nice to see Feuerstorm Doctrine, even though that thing is not anywhere near as good as stuff like Scavenge in my mind. His opponent down here in the south is the forces of Talisman Q-Pad. He's playing the USF. And you see he's already gone for that armor company. So maybe we'll see a plethora of those M10 Wolverine tank destroyers. Be definitely very interesting to see that happen, especially on a map like Arnhem Checkpoint. You can see already that the allies are moving into a loose meta build. Two riflemen coming out already. Khiidrom going for the kind of standard Volksgren Kubel opening. And it's worth noting, guys, that the US meta is getting a nerf for the next winter balance patch. I've yet to really see a good match to really highlight this particular thing, but the Stewart, I will be able to tell you, is going to become less of an infantry killing machine and a little bit more kind of specialized-ish. At the same time, I will also say, too, that the US mortar is getting nerfed as well. So German players rejoice. I know I'm pretty enthusiastic about that, but we'll see how that develops in this particular map. Khiidrom doing the very standard kind of let's throw down some sandbags whenever I take a point. So that way, if I have to fight over it, it's not terrible. But, you know, it's kind of a hit or miss idea right now. A whisper of action over here to the eastern side. Rifleman taking two shots and the Volksgrens deciding to back away. And unfortunately for this particular Kubelwagen, he's not capping anything out. So Khiidrom is losing some time here just by virtue of being kind of, I don't even know the right term. Well, he's not going anywhere fast. There he is. He's finally going to take that point now. But his opponent has already linked up his fuel as well. I guess at the end of it, though, is definitely a benefit increase, I don't know, benefit outcome, maybe a zero-sum game that he's winning a little bit more. He's got his munitions up faster than his opponent, so that's a good point right there. He is training a couple of tickets to do it, but in the early part of this particular matchup, it's not a huge deal. Now, the Kubel is moving forward to engage these riflemen, but he's doing it in a very poor position. As you guys all know, cover is rather directional out there, and moving right next to troops that are hiding behind green cover is just like asking for trouble. You see that shift right there, it encourages the rifleman to shift around and perhaps even drop that model because of it. And even more important than that is that the engagement did allow these Volksgrens to decap and cut off these fuel points from the Americans. You definitely don't want to have to put up with that early on. And it's going to be a lieutenant coming out, actually, for Talisman. So Talisman is not going into the meta necessarily, which I think is a very pleasant thing to see for a change. Especially with a lot of the talk with the way that the meta is going to be forced to change. It'll be interesting to see how the lieutenant wants to modify that particular move forwards. He's also going to call in some assault engineers. Those guys with the M3 grease guns are going to do a fair bit of work against Germans up close and personal. We had a whole firing squad going on there, but unfortunately the only guy who dies is a German. Of course, that being said, one shrunken squad is being taken on by a more complete Volksgrenadier squad, and that's what they're for. These assault engineers are picking up a flamethrower. Talisman's having issues with getting these garrisons ungarrisoned, so expect them to kind of sprint up here, spray a couple bursts of flame, and then book it to another part of the world. And the Germans know that they're there already, so he happens to hop out just before that first flame comes on. And immediately right after that, though, the assault engineers do jump in and try to take that particular position. Now, Khiidrom has not yet completed his first truck. You do see it's Battle Group Headquarters coming out, and about 4:30 in. It's a little bit late, all things considered. I think the thing's a little bit more weird for me is the fact that the Germans clearly can control this VP in the middle part of the field, and have chosen not to do so, instead focusing on trying to blow apart this poor engineer carrying this flamethrower. Doing a pretty good bit of work, but not enough to wipe out that squad. And interestingly, we're going to see an M20 utility car. So, M20 is going to get a couple of changes as well, but I admit I'm so unused to seeing the M20 actually being utilized that off the top of my head I can't tell you what they are. I do have a couple of games in my to-do list, let's call it, that involve, I think it's a Wehrmacht US matchup. I think it's two players actually play the same matchup from different angles. So we'll see how that goes. Hopefully we'll see an M20 coming out of that. And Khiidrom manipulating the AI of the units to encourage the lieutenant to engage a new infantry unit as opposed to the original one who's taking a lot of firepower there. You do see him back in that church, dropping another model. But more or less, Khiidrom is fighting the US forces to a standstill. Even more so, they're also able to go and pick up this strategic point and kind of lock down the center part of that map. Even more interesting, though, is the fact that right now Khiidrom is bringing in very, very early Panzerschreck, which is kind of nice. I mean, to be fair, it's not a perfect response, but it will delay and kind of encourage this M20 to back up, and you do see it happening right there. And given the short-range firepower increase over their opponents, for the most part, the Sturmpiles will fight these rear echelons pretty easily. It's just when these overloads are coming up that you see them have to back up, as opposed to taking some real losses. Now the Kubel has gone out to the eastern side and been able to decap and now recap that VP, so we go over to a German blue in just a second here. And that's about time, because Khiidrom is down almost 75 tickets, and that is not a good place to start with a very, very aggressive American player. And while Talisman has not really been able to press that aggression too easily, the fact that he's been doing it at all is definitely a little bit of a concern, I would say, for the Germans. Also believe that we're going to see ourselves just a straight push to tier 4 from the Germans. The fuel currently in play, yeah, definitely suggests that bringing a mech regiment now would just be kind of a waste. MG34 in this house right here puts them fired out on these assault engineers, doing some good work, just kind of keeping them pinned down, suppressed a little bit. And it looks like we're going to see another trade again. Kubel taking the western while the US takes the east. And this deep bit of riflemen are actually coming back here to pick on the Axis fuel. And the strange thing right now, we do see that Khiidrom has brought in, he's brought in that Schwer Wehrmachtschlepper, so that SWS is back in. I don't know, he's really, if he brought it in to make the mech regiment, he really should have done that a lot earlier, but he brought it in to make the Schwer Panzer headquarters. I'm kind of wondering why he brought it in quite so early. He had another minute or so. He could have definitely used that manpower to some other better usage. Fortunately, it doesn't seem like he's really interested in using that manpower necessarily. Maybe saving it to bring in an earlier squad of Obersoldaten or something of the sort. One thing is for sure, we are going to see some STG-44s and Volksgrund squads already, which indicates that he's not going to go too heavy in that later, higher tier machine, German infantry squads. Also worth noting is at the same time the M20 scoots in to throw off a round or two, a couple of bursts of fire, take out a model, and then backs away before taking too much attention, especially before the Sturmpire squad gets up here with that Panzerschreck. And for some reason, Talisman decides not to go into this middle circle, the circle of doom, perhaps, while the Volksgrenadiers are capping. He could definitely have forced the Volksgrenadiers to pay a little bit more in blood. And yep, it is the Schwer Panzer headquarters, just out of range of the fuel, but enough distance to kind of handle more just a bigger area. Rear echelons duck out of that church and are able to get back just in time. And we're going to see just that impotent exchange of fire where people shoot at a flamethrower, and the flamethrower, which is outranged by everything else, doesn't really shoot back. Lieutenant in the middle part of the field in the meantime comes up with that BAR, but he is just taking fire from all sorts of sources here. STGs on the west, all the K98s in the east, and that MG34 forces him back from his front. And then, guys, that is divine fire coming down from on high. That assault engineer raining hellfire down on the Kubelwagen. Although the Kubelwagen doesn't have to be too concerned. I mean, he has done a fair bit of work to the American position. And Sturmpires rush on forwards to go and put some pressure on this strategic point here and encourage the M20 to back up, cutting off the American fuel. I'm kind of concerned to see that the Americans have not gone for Major Tech or for Captain Tech. Either one of those would have been a good choice at this particular moment. And yes, there goes Khiidrom with that Obosoldaten. He's got the completed Schwerpanzer headquarters and immediately plops down a high-tier infantry squad. This church, in the meantime, just continues to be a focal point for a lot of firepower here, and just is squatting down. We see squatters in every angle here. Even this guy over here is kind of laying down on the job, taking a little bit of a nap. Interestingly as well, we're going to see that Khiidrom has decided to go for that Luftwaffe ground forces. I don't, and this is just me, but I don't see a lot of point for the Luftwaffe ground forces. I mean, the Stuka airborne assault's very, very good if you can successfully convert on a target. But it seems so often that these, even something like the reconnaissance pass, could be a little bit underwhelming. And these late game things, I mean, Valiant Assault is, I think in my mind, way too expensive, and the Fallschirmjägers are good, but they're such a niche unit, and I remember responding to a comment a little while ago. Someone was asking about Panzer Fusiliers versus Fallschirmjägers, and Fallschirmjägers are very, very good elite infantry, but then you kind of use them when you don't want to use things like, where's he coming out? I don't even know where he's coming out. There he is. Okay, he's coming out on these riflemen back here. Use the Fallschirmjägers when you're trying to avoid using things like Obosoldaten. So not entirely sure why the decision gets made there necessarily, but they are out there with their FL-42s? No. No, FL-38s, I'm sorry. This guy out there who's going to be able to tell me that that actual machine gun is, and I cannot think what it's called off the top of my head, the submachine gun. But they do force back the riflemen in a very, very quick battle that sees a number of Yankees falling to the ground. Incendiary grenade in the meantime does come down on top of these riflemen. These guys are forced to run right back through the fire and flames. But the Germans are not in a much greater position. M20 putting a lot of pressure on the Volksgren squad and compelling them to retreat. And interestingly enough, we're going to see, for some reason, the Fallschirmjägers are going to charge forwards, throw down a Panzerfaust. The Talisman's not really going to do a whole lot about it. That poor lamppost didn't know what hit him, gets carved to pieces. Yeah, I'm very kind of confused about the decision for that Panzerfaust. There was no other material in the area to take advantage of it. This Rakettenwerfer is worlds away by comparison. And these guys are just going to repair it for pretty much no cost whatsoever. But 13:35 into this game, but we've got 354 to 475. The Germans have not been able to consistently hold more than one VP at a time. You can't obviously see that with the 2-to-1 that currently exists. And very, very late captain coming out from the Americans, confused by this particular decision, but the fact that at least he brought him out is probably is worthwhile to note. Germans have taken the momentary lull in the gunfire to take over the church, and they're going to do, I would say, a decent job with it. Of course, if this 50 cal from this M20 starts laying into the church, and these Volksgrens are not going to want to be there for very long, I guess they'll convert to a different religion, you know, maybe just kind of say, let's give peace a chance. But in any case, they're in and out, trying to hop back and forth in the best of both worlds. These assault engineers, again, are laying down curtains of fire against anybody who attacks them, but they're getting carved up quite good by those, Sturmpires and Volksgrens. Volksgrens are now even inside that house, believing it's a little bit too cold outside, going in with all the flame that still exists from the incendiary grenade as it gutters out, finally. To the west, riflemen are trading fire with Volksgrens, as that really should be just trying to take this point. hide behind right here. Screw that green cover, take the yellow one instead. But oh well, that's not going to happen today. Sturmpio seems like they're trying to make a push for that garrison and decide at the last second to back off, and Talisman is slowly gaining his way with this battle space. Germans finally get a 1-to-1 cap, so that's even back out, and probably the luckiest thing for Khiidrom is that Talisman has not yet decided to unlock his weapon racks. Had he done so, I imagine we could see some BARs quite quickly on the map. But alright, so let's take a quick look at Veteran C. Well, as Khiidrom brings into P4, that should pretty much devastatingly tip the scales of the battlefield, at least until Talisman starts spamming out those M10s. Most, if not all, of the US forces are fairly well vetted, except for that poor devil who just fell outside the church window there, dead. We have one fully vetted up squad, and honestly though, the only fully vetted up unit is the vehicle crew for the M20, which seems a little bizarre, and to a certain degree probably is, and yikes, we went down there just in time to see that poor Volksgren squad, a fairly vetted up one at that, get turned into a bouillabaisse of just shredded meat. That is a breakfast I would not want to have. In the meantime, though, the Obersoldaten are proving their worth, carving into these riflemen. I'm wondering if they're even going to be able to force them back. Yes, they do. And there goes a squad for Talisman as well, so both players taking some losses here. I've never seen Obers actually do that much damage. They just always seem to be so underwhelming. In the meantime, Fallschirmjägers could rush forwards, maybe throw down something like, I don't know, bundle grenade inside that house and do a fair bit of damage. Not going to happen just yet, though. P4 is going to slide forward, and that M20 is going to go down. His 50 cal is gone. He's dead, Jim. Just let it go. And P4 announced himself with quite a show. Not unexpectedly, Talisman quickly calls in a M10. Just do pretty well against that P4. M10 giving quite a bit of penetrating power here. The question is now, where is that supportive Axis infantry? So we have Obers right there, with Raquette finally moving forwards. Now where is Sturmpires are a little bit further back to the north. Okay, interesting. Interesting indeed. Now the M10s are not particularly good at firing at infantry. Really pretty much a direct hit is the only thing that will even do any kind of real damage. You can see that right there. He's firing at him, but he's like using a cannon to kill a mosquito. And that's pretty lucky for those Fallschirmjägers, because if he was any more accurate, it would be pretty devastating. Fallschirmjägers throw down, throw down a smoke grenade, get out of there, out of dodge pretty quickly, and luckily make it away. That firepower can be very, very unlucky at times. Rear echelons, the next one's to feel the sting though of this P4. P4 is sliding forward. It's got 2 kills already. And not content with just playing it safe. Now for me, Khiidrom should either be expending more resources to create... Again, finally gets announced its presence, and another round comes out from that P4. To say, Khiidrom really should be using this opportunity to make more infantry, either Fallschirmjägers or Obers, or even Volksgrens, although Volksgrens at this point might get some really outscaled. But he's a little bit preoccupied right now. He's decided he wants to have a trip cap. He gets that. And all the American forces are back in base, save for this small attack group moving forward.
Our supply line is cut. Germans
but with that supply line being cut, the Talisman only has his fuel and a couple of strategic points in supply, and that's a pretty big win right there, I would say, for the Germans. That light Zuka over there isn't going to do a whole lot to the P4 at great range in the first place, the armored skirts and everything like that. P4 can pretty much laugh at it and shell him from range, and that's exactly what he's going to do. And Khiidrom is going to decide to bring in some more Volksgrens instead. So interesting decision there. Part of me would like to see something like, it's a race to see who gets into the house first, and it's not going to be the Germans. The Germans are going to toss out incendiary grenade, chase out the riflemen, and are going to get caught in the open while the riflemen toss out a grenade in return. This is going to be brutal. Yep, there goes 60% of their health and 2 models. Time to bolt, dudes. And they're not running. There they go. They're finally off to the races there.
Now available.
Now to the east, it's going to be another engagement here. So just Pineapple is going on galore. And I hate Pineapple whenever that happens. This Volks Grenadier squad goes down as well, and he was fully vetted up. That was a full, spiffy squad. And every single one of the German positions is being taken or contested right now. They're all along the immediate front here. Every single thing is decapped. It's going to be very quickly turned into a 2-for-0 in favor of the Americans. And now there's a bulldozer Sherman coming out with that 105 howitzer, and those things are terrifying, especially against the garrisons.
300 points remaining.
Okay, maybe at the first round. The first round's just a gimme. You know, he's just getting his sight in. But they can be quite scary, and you can see already the house is taking quite a pounding. Now, Khiidrom decides that what he wants to do instead is pull up a Jagdpanzer. That's probably the best call in this particular case. The P4 is going to get shot to pieces by the M10 if he's not careful. And infantry-based AT, as brave as Rakettenwerfer is, all that 105 Sherman had to do was rush forwards and throw down 2 or 3 rounds. And that anti-tank gun would be no longer anything. It'd be an anti-nothing. Because it'd be dead. Quite dead. Talisman, though, interestingly, doesn't have more than a couple squads of mainline infantry. He's depending a lot on his officers to carry the brunt of this action. See, the problem with that right about now is his captain is barely making out alive, playing a game of chicken with that poor officer right there. And let's see, so the P4 is in the area, so that Sherman decides to back away intelligently. And I'm kind of wondering, yep, there are the anti-tank grenades up, so why he's not even trying to use them, I'm not entirely sure. P4's got to make it out of there soon because he's going to take some hits here, already taken a shot or 2 from the M10. And Talisman's going to throw down, what the heck is that? That 240 barrage? Oh god, this could be brutal or it could be amazing. I'm not sure which one it's going to be. Try to take a longer shot at this. 1 round comes down, nowhere near the intended target area, but takes out 6 or 7 models with it. Watch another come down right on their retreat path. That'd be awful. Yep, that's how that works. So Sturmpire squad goes down, and with it the light AT the Germans were enjoying, which gives Talisman a bit of time to get back into it. Not too much, but a little bit of time. I'm continuing to wonder if he should just start spamming out the M10s like crazy. While they're not good against infantry, his mainline infantry seems to be more than fine to contest. Yikes. Poor Shack. To contest the immediate threat. And a barrier actually got used. Those Shermans never use that ability. So that thing, what is it? Let's move over here. Here we go. So the ability to create and destroy cover. So now this part of the town is completely locked out for this P4. He's got to go up and around. And at 284 to 369, Khiidrom's got to be a little bit more intentional with taking back these points here. He's got to put some firepower into the 105 Sherman. That's going to be good, but the M10's going to match him pretty darn quickly. But the Rakettenwerfer in turn matches the M10, so we're seeing some nice play and counterplay, because this M10 seems a little bit tardy in realizing that he's in some danger. Freed from that kind of frustration, Khiidrom shifts forward with the Rakettenwerfer to take that strategic point. Both sides take a bit of a breather, though. We're going to see Volksgrens moving over here to the east to take fuel from the Americans. We're going to see the Americans do the same thing from the Germans as well. And really, all the action's been right around the center position, right here. It's been kind of surprising. One Raketten is forced back. The other one's probably going to turn around and shoot this poor guy in the back here. M10 is just begging for it. Oh, making it in, making it out. Never mind. The barrel appears in the top floor. Does he have line of sight on that thing? Doesn't he? I thought he had line of sight on that Sherman, but I guess he does not. And the round impacting right there, and that poor Rakettenwerfer is not being able to turn and bring that tank under his guns. Khiidrom, it seems, that is going to play the long game looking for that King Tiger and might just get it. I mean, this thing is going very, very long already. Volksgrens find themselves getting naded back away in time. That's good because Khiidrom's taking some severe losses in terms of veterancy. And I'm wondering, are we going to see more AT opportunities? Talisman, on the other hand, you want to see right now, what, 4 or 5 squads? Four mainline squads and then his vehicle crew are fully vetted up and fully kitted out. I continue to wonder why he's not investing a little bit of fuel into weapon racks. Also because you think about it, getting the BAR or the Zook is cheaper for him already with that bulletin.
Sherman Dozer is ready for action.
But no, he seems content just to continue to throw down with these
The enemy is overrunning one of our capture
howitzers like crazy. P4 is going to be outgunned. He's not going to be great. These Shermans are not going to be great against the P4, but with the M10 and with the anti-tank grenades that can come out, that could be a bit of a problem. And for some reason, this Forgotten River continues to start throwing rounds into this placed captain here. And I don't know if they're trying to take out the church for seriousness or what the deal is, but this M10 kind of comes out, throws a round or two down range with a great play. And never mind, yeah, that's exactly what they're trying to do, just take out that church and remove that fighting position from the Americans' repertoire. Upper rear echelons in the meantime, running back and through negative cover, get taken out. But it's not too much better for that Obosodan squad, getting hammered pretty hardcore. But now this M10 is going to show its rear, oh my gosh, to the P4, and that could be all she wrote. Yes, and that's the M10 gone. But with the M10 gone, I'm not going to say it's dire, but the Germans really should be in an excellent field position with that open. Khiidrom, in the meantime, I think maybe getting another Sturmpio squad to kind of keep vehicles in tip-top shape, or, again, Fallschirmjägers for the close-in fighting, because he's clearly not building for Obosodaten. Might be a good play right about now. But again, neither player, well, Talisman using his commander a lot more readily than Khiidrom. But Khiidrom tends to always play like that. He's one of those things he just always seems to do. P4 to the west is just going to put some firepower out in these riflemen, and to the east, this other miniature assault is going to gain some ground for initial positions. But I wouldn't want to be them for a very long time here. It's going to be 5 more fuel until that King Tiger can come out, and that's going to be a devastating attack when that happens. To the west, the attack is repulsed. To the east, we are going to see Americans hunkering down. Oh, those assault engineers again. These guys have been here since pretty much the 3rd or 4th minute of this game. They're hunkered down in this garrison here. Probably not the most attractive option in the long term. But for the time being, they can frustrate German expansion, at least out of the town. And I know what Khiidrom's doing. He's got the fuel. He's got the ability to call in the King Tiger. He's got more than enough to do it. Might as well. Assault engineers, in the meantime, managed to throw themselves inside the house over here just before they come under fire from that P4. And while Talisman continues to control 75% of the field, he has not been able to take back any of these other points here. Although right now, dear God, firepower like that is dangerous, and Khiidrom loses another squad. Fallschirmjägers are coming out, though. Question is where? Oh, there's a hunker down in this house. And with that kind of barrage, though, it'll probably be better to run pretty darn quick. P4 splits the uprights, doesn't quite get around down in either one of the Shermans. And I'm really confused why Khiidrom hasn't called in that King Tiger like aeons ago now. His infantry is looking very inexperienced compared to what remains of the American cast list. And to be fair, the Americans are dropping some of the veteran squads of their own. A lot of the vetted up material is from these vehicle crews right here. With those submachine guns, they are passable, not great, but passable infantry units in the field. Now, these Fallschirmjägers are in the open, but interestingly enough, they are just that well armed that they can duel pretty effectively against their opposite numbers. Khiidrom, boo-boo, please. There we go. There's the King Tiger. He is now on the field. Koenigsegg is in, and the Americans really should start running for cover. As long as he doesn't lose this particular vehicle foolishly or waste its potential, we could be in for a very, very quick German pickup at the end of this. P4 sliding to the west, putting pressure onto this captain who's going to take away this VP and just for a second turn it into a 2-to-1 cap for the Americans. And supported by the Sturmpires, the captain better want to get out of there just about now. Yep, there he goes. But that's left open the middle part of the field now for the Americans to charge forwards yet again. But the Koenigsegg says, you know what, I've had enough of your lip, and takes out calmly. He just blows away the assault engineers with one shot. Again, always terrifying when that happens. A second round comes in and almost wipes out that rifleman squad as well. Pretty much laughs at whatever's shooting at him. M10 throws around at him and just pings off his armor.
Krauts are taking one of our points.
And I'm not entirely sure why, but instead of firing at the tanks, there we go. I was going to say the P4 is throwing rounds at the rifleman squad, which is good if the rifleman squad was a super vetted up unit, but it's got 2 stars as opposed to the 3 that are out there in other particular areas. Now, the Volksgren should be really throwing out a Panzerfaust before they back away. We'll definitely give an opportunity for this KT to slide to the east and pick on the Americans a fair bit. The Khiidrom seems content just to kind of lay back and take it easy. Understandable from a certain extent. I mean, he might be a little bit scared about the prospect of running into an ambush. And also remember the fact, too, that we have perfect vision and he does not. So we know exactly what he's fighting against, but he is not quite as lucky. Now, P4, the Raketen and the KT are forming this ridiculously good gun lines, anti-tank front, that's seeing a lot of American material getting plastered by a lot of firepower. You do see that a border of attack run came in, they got to about here and then had to be forced back immediately. Kind of feel like the KT could rush in, pick off the ambulance, and maybe even pick off a squad or 2. Instead, we're going to see the P4 move to the western side, try to put some pressure out on this lieutenant, but the lieutenant is not going to be too concerned about things immediately anyway. Now, Sturmpires against a beaten up lieutenant group, that is a good matchup for the Sturmpires, even with the hazard removal kit. And we'll see them back off because of it. The lieutenant, that is, not the Sturmpires. Now, where is that KT? He is moved way far back, so that way these repair pioneers can get out there and throw some health on that bad boy. Or is he? He's fired like 4 times and gotten 11 kills, though. I mean, he's pretty beastly already. It's a 1-0 cap for the moment, 2-0 cap as that KT rolls back into the center part of the town. And still, we are not going to see an AT gun that gets any kind of effective usage out of these garrisons, and indeed, the only one we do see is in the center part of town. Now, Koenigsegg is going to come under fire from that Zug, which is just kind of humorous when you think about it. And a anti-tank rifle grenade comes out, and I hated those things. Those things always seem to be way more effective than they should be. Obersoldat in the house over here getting blasted pretty good, but not really dangerous just yet. And this Sherman takes a hit, but doesn't take any engine crit. That's very, very lucky for that Sherman. But now the P4's coming forward to kind of pick up what everyone else is dropping here. And he's got 4 stars of veterancy. I didn't even notice that until just now. Combat Blitz goes down in the meantime as well. He's going to go over here to the eastern side. He should be able to chase down the Sherman if he wants to. We've got to get around behind it. Going from the front is not going to be an effective way to remove that from the playing field. So the Volksgren squad could go down here. Riflemen still don't have any upgrades weapon-wise. I think it's a massive, massive waste. You have the bulletin, use the bulletin. Another M10 comes in instead. And now this KT limps back to base. Probably good just to have these Sturmpires start repairing it, but no. He refuses to do so. Interesting decision there. So 2-0 cap, it was going to be a 2-1, but unfortunately these riflemen could not stand up to firepower of that magnitude from the P4. In the middle part of the map, yet again, we do see it just craters for everyone. Usually be curtains, but today it's craters, my friends. They see the state of war that has just abused these houses like crazy. Sherman's moving forward again, trying to do some kind of good against these German positions, but I believe this 105 Sherman's going to buy it pretty quickly. One more round will see it done, but the M10s are here, and that could be enough. Could it be? Okay, that's one Sherman down. M10s are still in the area though. The P4 backs away just before he takes any more damage. But Kettenwerfer might want to consider backing off as well. He's got 4 stars of veterancy. I would not waste his life lightly. But no, he's bravely sticking it out, and the M10 goes down. One of the M10s goes down. His P4 over here has got 5 stars of veterancy as well, so back up, let the King Tiger take some hits, man. I mean, you got more than enough time and space here. Though it seems that even though he's taken the field in the middle part of it, the outskirts are still controlled by Les Américains. Which is always such a surprise when you think about it. Now, at this point, if you want to use airborne assault to hammer these lieutenant or just take back one of these territories to the east, be an excellent time for that. But right now, Khiidrom seems a little bit confused with the enormity of his success. To the north, in the meantime, unfortunately, the captain runs afoul of the base machine guns, I believe. And is forced back quite readily. Wondering if the Fallschirmjäger is going to sit up here and just pepper the captain as he goes by. I would stop and shoot as much as possible. But no, the captain's going to get away more or less unscathed. Of course, I say that, and that's when 30% of his remaining health disappears. So one M10 is charging forwards, and as are these brave riflemen. Foolish after a certain fashion, but definitely brave nonetheless. I think we might as well continue our enjoyment of the game from this particular angle. M10 is going to try to throw rounds into the KT, but it's not going to be too easy for him to hang up against that. Fallschirmjägers to the east, though, might want to consider getting out of there right now. And he's going to get out of there, I think, just a bit to spare. Königstiga has more than enough opportunity to throw rounds into the M10, and I think he's trying to find his targets right now. And at long last, a 57 mil comes out from the Americans.
We've dropped to 200 points.
Whew. Sorry guys, I've been talking pretty much this entire time here. It's just been kind of brutal on my voice. KT shifts on up, and is this supposed to be a lure coming in? I don't know, but the P4 is there, the King Tiger is there, the Rakettenwerfer is there, so it really could be whatever they want to kill, they can kill. This M10's going to throw like a FU round, I think, out, or is he just out of range? Yeah, we can't quite see them, but the KT will see him soon enough.
The capture point is being overrun.
All he knows is that things look rather dire for him. Yep, they have no idea where anything German really is, and that's just a surprising place to be. KT is able to get a round off because of how amazing that cloaked Rakettenwerfer is, and I believe we're going to see this super vetted up squad, a vetted up AT gun, gets decrewed, and he's shattered by quite a bit. Stern pilots limp away, trying to escape before they get taken out. And this other Rakettenwerfer is just bravely going to start throwing rounds into the bulldozer Sherman. Could he get one more round? Could he take him out? He should be able to get one more. No, he doesn't. Instead, he gets decrewed. Isn't that just the way of it right now? And M10 bravely decides to go and try to stem the bleeding. He's charging in, trying to put some more firepower onto the KT, and then decides better up and backs away. A good decision there. And Khiidrom's going to call in a Stuka Sufus. Good decision in my mind. I kind of feel like that would have been a good call a long time ago. Even if it was just throwing down rounds in this particular area, come into the middle part of the map and just throw rounds down range and see what happens. Be a good idea. KT is determined that nobody will take this German piece of equipment, but just really can't bring himself to destroy it. He's firing rounds at it and keeps missing. So there we go, that's gone down. And into the west, we'll see Fallschirmjägers get forced back by a fully vetted up captain. So while the Americans have tons and tons of experience on their infantry squads, their vehicles are performing much less, shall we say, stellarly. And you kind of want to feel bad for them. I mean, they're very enthusiastic. They keep charging forwards, and just as immediately they get sent back home in a box. A burning metal box. See, remember the last foray forwards, that's the M10, and this was part of the 105 Sherman. And here we go. So the Stukos of Hus is up. The question is, where is he going to try to fire first? Please don't aim over here to the eastern side. That'd be just such a waste in my mind. Whew. But here we go. Is he lining it for his first round? No, he's not. Guys, he is sober as a judge. He's not willing to take a shot just yet. Fallschirmjägers are going to come up and put some firepower on these riflemen. And I really do like the angle of this camera right now. Talisman is going to find himself up against the wall for right now. He's under a triple cap, at least for a couple more seconds until he can decap. I get the feeling that right now we're going to see some losses coming out for Khiidrom because he's getting pressed on every different side. Fallschirmjäger's getting owned by this 105 Sherman. Now what is going on with this bad boy right here? With the rifleman trying to throw out an AT grenade and does hit. And between that and the M10 we could see a dead P4. Rounds coming out. Rounds complete on top of this AT gun. Pretty close. Does a good amount of damage. Goes down to 2 models. Yep, there goes the P4. It's unfortunate right there because that guy was a cool breeze of fresh air. The Sheriff Panzer headquarters is going to start throwing rounds into this M10, and that's just unlucky for the M10. It's just a constant reminder of where his position is. Especially the rear armor hits. Going to be a Panzerfaust coming out. Yes, there it goes, but he misses. That is unlucky right there. Is he going to take out the Stukos of Hus as well? Oh, that could just be super unlucky for him. There's so much fuel being wasted by this. There's a round coming out. Is he going to make it, though? Is he going to make it? Oh, geez, he's going right back into him. He just decides to Harry carry. And he is gone. KT is moving forwards, though. Is he going to try to chase after the M10? I would really hope he does. And that poor M10 is going to find himself... Oh, no! Never mind. The KT misses his position. Doesn't see him, and it seems Khiidrom is more concerned about taking on the last of these tickets from his opponent.
M10 ready for action.
And with another M10 on the field, Khiidrom's got the opportunity to bring in more tanks. Might be the best idea he's got. He's going to take away the American fuel, which has been something that's been hotly contested most of this particular match. And trying to think of what the Americans can really do to combat this. This MG is desperately trying to stave off an attack by this Sherman, and will do so. Actually runs out before the front of the house gets taken out and turns into a giant, like, front porch. And the question is, can this KT get one more round before the Sherman gets away? And the answer to that is no, he does not. Fallschirmjägers get hurt pretty bad, but not taken out. In the middle part of the field, this captured Raketen is going to find itself encouraged to back away. Now there's a 57 mil. There's a Raketenwerfer. And there's the M10. Khiidrom's got to bring in another vehicle to really kind of get this completed, I would say. And shockingly enough, Talisman's able to take the middle part of the field yet again. It's very, very surprising when this happens. Now, unfortunately, Obers don't have any AV capability, which I always think was one of the dumbest things in the world about them. One M10 charges on deep, and he's going to find himself really, really whooped here. 57 mil goes out very, very quickly, gets shredded. The M10 gets taken out as well by the King Tiger. Question is really what's left. Well, if the Fallschirmjägers go and jump on this AT gun, it'd be kind of amusing in my mind. If they don't, they just throw out a bundle grenade or something. I mean, he's got, geez, 600 munitions. Use your abilities, man. Use the abilities. Heck, if you want to start using this thing now too, you have more than enough of capabilities to do so. Another M10 rushes to the fore, though. This King Tiger is facing the wrong direction. No! Beautiful piece of engineering. Don't die on me now. But Volkskrans are right here as well, so we could see a very, very quick Faust. or this AT gun, oh excuse me, AA gun, could do the final dirty work by himself, but no, it's not the case. Instead, it's going to be the Americans pushing back the center part of the field, and this bulldozer Sherman just continues to go back and forth. He is so game, and he really shouldn't be. Jagdpanzer is now on the field as well, and he's looking to just start firing at these riflemen. Strange decision indeed. And there goes another rifle squad.
We lost an infantry unit.
It's like King Tiger has just been gloriously accurate. He's firing rounds into this smoke yet again, and yep, here comes the airborne assault. There we go. Pinning Sir Kettenbuffer crew. And Fallschirmjäger's coming down on top of them. This is the way airborne assault should be used. That's in my mind. Unfortunately, though, one of the airplanes got taken out, and that Fallschirmjäger squad gets taken out by an unfortunate round. Friendly gets killed right there. The Jagdpanzer, though, is more than happy to put rounds into that bulldozer Sherman. And a, fourth M10 comes out here. And just as soon as that Ricketten crew comes into range, he is taken out. 57 mil gets taken out. All that's really left is this M10, and there are two German vehicles against this. Two fearsome German vehicles against this. One of which is lining up a shot right now and hammers it home. 1/3 of that health is completely gone in a second. So there's two M10s on the field, and that's all that's left. This is the M10 that was able to pick off, I think, yep, the two vehicles. So he got the P4 kill, and he got the Stukusafus kill, which I think is the most unfortunate death in the world on that poor thing. Not a good way for that lovely vehicle to go out. But just as unfortunate that M10 goes out, a newer one, mind you. And Bulldozer Sherman continues to be that giant pain in the ass for the German forces in the middle part of this map. Now, to the west, we're going to see riflemen out in the open, fully vetted up against fully vetted up Fallschirmjägers, and fully vetted apiece. I kind of have to wonder which is which, and it's going to be a smoke grenade and then a pineapple the other direction. So the Fallschirmjägers fighting a war on two fronts and doing surprisingly well, but don't stick out for the last bit of action, instead bolting back to the safety of home. And this is, if Khiidrom decides to lose this one by just being a little bit reticent, a little bit feared, or fearful rather, I'm going to be a little upset. Now, that Sherman doesn't know who's actually capturing. He knows somebody's capturing, he doesn't know how or where or what though. He's going to bring him under fire now though, and this machine gun's going to be able to take it just before a second round comes out, I believe. Yep, there he goes, he's got that one. And a rifleman picking up that Zook that was dropped by the dead captain. And instead we're going to see cheese. These overs get shredded, the machine gun gets pounded. And I feel so annoyed whenever that happens. Those 105 shots are good, don't get me wrong, but geez, dear God, they're like practically snipers with those things. That's not fair. Either they do nothing or they do huge amounts of damage. Both players seem to be a little bit lost on how to kind of close this out. Khiidrom, I kind of feel like should have been able to take this a long time ago, but he's not being very aggressive on either flank. And indeed, you do see this M10 over here just kind of chilling. M10 for, Sherman pilots for their own particular moment are able to kind of chill out over here, taking back this point from the lieutenant. And with the support finally coming out from these Volksgrens, we could see the shift we've been waiting for. Incendiary grenade goes out, cooks part of the house but doesn't do it too much. And don't tell me the Americans are going to take the middle VP while the Germans take the outside stuff. Like, come on, dude, really? Oy. 109 to 29. Germans continue to lose pickets. But the Americans continue to lose health. And that, my friends, is pretty much the story of this game thus far. Fallschirmjägers rushing onto the attack. Are they going to throw down a Panzerfaust or something to take back this point? No. They're going to lose the middle VP again to the Americans. And pretty much all the Fallschirmjägers can do, if they just kind of charge in and start picking off squads left, right, and center, that'd be a good idea. But no, they don't. M10 slides around from the east trying to back up and take on something. But these attacks are uncoordinated, and he's going to run afoul of both German vehicles, the big brother and the little brother, and now another Panther being called in by Khiidrom. That really needs to be the end of it. I mean, dear God, this thing should have been over a little while ago already. Let's speed this up a tiny bit.
We're losing a capture point.
Alrighty, cool. So finally we're going to see the middle VP going over in turn for the Germans. And see a duel between an M10 and the Jagdpanzer, perhaps? I don't really know. But over to the western side, we will see that the Jagdpanzer is going to get outflanked just barely, but thanks to the assistance of the AA gun, it will lose, the M10 will lose its main gun, and shortly thereafter lose its life. The other M10, though, charges forwards, is trying to be fearsome and death-defying, and trying to take out this King Tiger. But the King Tiger's got, what, 50 kills? 50 kills. Now, one of those really shouldn't count. I mean, it was a friendly. That's arguably easier to hit if he's not suspecting it. But 50 kills, man. Now this Panther's up over here, too, so this poor... Oh my gosh, really? He's gonna miss that? Okay, there we go. That's one. And bravely, he's going to kind of duel with the Devil here. But let me turn this back around. There we go. I think we're going to have a much cooler shot for the death of that M10. But destroyed engine, so that is going to get brewed up. He is gone. He's going to try to get out in time. And he gets out and slides down to his death. Not entirely too sure how that happens sometimes. Airborne assault happens, though. We're going to continue to see it happen yet again on top of this tank crew and this AT gun. And with the Fallschirmjägers dropping down on top of it, I really do get the feeling that the Fallschirmjägers could just Panzerfaust something, but no, instead it's just this M10 gets 40 kills now in turn, squashing everything before it. And that confuses me a bit. Now this Panther, in the meantime, too, he's probably going to go down because he's being really, really ferocious about his attack, and neither player really being too conservative with their armor's lifestyle. Zook throwing rounds into this retreating Panther. Panther kind of does a little do-si-do around them. And the 57mm might get a round off. No, he doesn't quite hit it. He aims for the Jagdpanzer instead, so that poor 57mm not able to do what he needs to get done. But okay, so now we have a 2-to-1 cap still happening here, 73-27. And assault engineers being called in now for Talisman, and this really should have been the end. This needs to be the end. Let's speed this up a little bit. This has gone on long enough, folks. We're going to see Lieutenant charge back forward to the middle part of the map again. And this M10 charge forward again. And with that, the M10 really should buy it. One last shot is not going to happen. Really? Okay, and King Tiger continues to be a pain, so one more round, take out the Lieutenant perhaps? Yep, almost does it, not quite. M10 goes down to the western side, and Talisman really should just kind of tap out here, but he's not going to. He has too much pride. Jagdpanzer goes down, but that's a little bit unsurprising. 57mm gets hammered here into death, and now the Panther and King Tiger slowly are drawing the noose around this M10, and the Wolverine can't fight two big cats, and there it goes. It gets taken out. And with that, Talisman's got three things, and one of them is a non-combatant. And not like a sort of non-combatant, I mean desperately non-combatant. But that 2-to-1 cap happens. Fallschirmjägers come out from the eastern side from another ambient building, from that shack right there in fact, and are going to decap and do whatever they need to do. Panther comes out over here to the western side, starts throwing down rounds just to kind of dissuade anything from really happening here, and Talisman gives the GG. He figures it's gone, and he knows it is all over. Well played to Khiidrom. Could have closed out a little bit earlier. Talisman, bad luck on that one myself, my friend. Maybe if he had been a little bit more aggressive with his tanks all at the same time, he could have pulled out the big W, but he did not. The win today went to the OKW, and in my mind, man of the match, 58 kills. This thing is a brutal, brutal machine. Let's just turn off the HUD for a second here, just so we can kind of appreciate the gloriousness of it. So guys, thank you so much for tuning in. As always, I appreciate your comments, your feedback, your likes, your support. I can't tell you how much I always appreciate it, but I'll never stop trying to. But I will see you guys all soon. This is Con Ulrich signing off. Take it easy.